My next guest was born and raised in Russia. He became part of the KGB, served his time in the military, moved to America, married a beautiful Ukrainian woman, raised 3 children, started a big business and sold the business, and now he is a plant medicine facilitator. Plant medicine healed him. He's a very intelligent man, as you will soon see. Big heart, gentle soul, and I am just overwhelmed with gratitude to now call him a friend. Truly an amazing man. I know a lot of you have been very patient in waiting for this podcast. Thank you very much. It's much appreciated from both of us. And now here you have Alex Kuhtarev. Enjoy. Alex, thank you for coming again.
Thank you for inviting me, Dean. Thank you, Dennis.
It's been a wild ride, has it not? It's been just, oh my Lord.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a good.
Yeah, just for the audience out there, Alex and I have been working on this podcast for months now, probably 3 months at least.
Yeah, at least 3-4 months.
Right. We've gone through all sorts of trials and tribulations, and we've pushed through them all to be here now. And it's so exciting to jump into everything. Thank you. Thank you for bringing your tea as well.
Oh, you're welcome. Pleasure. I have a pleasure to make it, that tea.
I'm excited to learn how to make it.
Yeah. I'm actually making a little video instruction and when I'm going to be selling the tea itself. I mean, I'm going to be offering the link to YouTube to explain how to make it, exactly how I'm making it, what kind of milk to use and how much honey and some ingredients. So
you pull the ingredients come from all over the world.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm using about 12 different roots, bark, flowers, and leaves. So it's a combination of what the earth providing to us, and that's true. It comes from Croatia, Bulgaria, from India, from South America. So it's collection from all over the world.
Organic, I would assume.
Absolutely. Everything's organic.
And are there any elements, any ingredients within it that are wild? So even a step above organic, they may be wild.
Yeah, it's like dandelion roots.
Okay.
So the dandelion roots, that's organic, but it's in the wild. So
it's in the wild.
Yeah.
And how did you come about finding this tea, or did you manifest it yourself? Did you learn it from somebody, or was this trial and error on your own?
All together. So it basically started when the pandemic of COVID started. And we've been looking like for solution to help us to reduce and release the more mucus when you have respiratory problems. And we started with a couple of blend before it's become this blend. I start with a mullein leaf and marshmallow root and a couple of others. And it helped me just overcome sickness, any respiratory issues, cold, flu, much faster than usually, and with the less side effects. And then after your lungs being exposed to the virus or bacteria, it cleans up much faster. You can breathe better. And when you can breathe better, you're getting more oxygen. You healing faster. So,
Boy, the COVID has just really brought the pulmonary illnesses to everybody's attention, hasn't it? It's wonderful that you're bringing this to the market and to everybody's kitchen, so to speak.
Yeah, I start trying with my family first. Everything we do, we start, okay, let's experiment on us. Then we introduce it to our friends. Then after friends, we introduce to our clients. When the clients come to our retreats and ceremonies, so I'm introduced that tea. And So it's kind of my mentor always saying you need to find a match to market. And if it's a market is asking if the people like it, then it's time to introduce to the market. So we've been trying with our clients who's coming to our ceremonies for a couple of years. And everybody's like, Alex, where can we get this tea? I'm like,
Yes.
well, I don't have it yet. So I'm actually making the mixture for them in the bags and giving to them or sell them.
Excellent.
And they're like, okay, when we can buy it? And so it's time.
Yeah, I'm sure they want to support you, especially such an awesome product, right to begin with.
Thank you.
And the fact that you're bringing it on YouTube for free so people can put it together on their own. They don't have to purchase it necessarily.
Yeah, if they want it, they can mix it their own ingredients or experimenting too. I can give them just the base and the rest of it, they can add it. But if they like exactly the taste of it, how I'm making it, then they have to get my own blend of exactly a ratio what I'm using.
Right.
Yeah, and exactly the honey, how much honey I'm adding, and what kind of milk, because it's very important about the milk. I'm using the oat milk only,
Okay.
high cream, and the brand name is Otis, I believe. Yeah, I'll put it on my
Right.
YouTube.
So when we were just speaking, you were talking about sugar and how you don't have any sugar in your house. That's the way that I was raised as well. My family took sugar out right away. It was one of the first things to go. But with that being said, honey is allowed because obviously honey has nutritional value.
Yes.
It can help with, since the bees are collecting the pollen, it can help with allergies. It's a miracle food, basically.
Oh, yes.
So you encourage people to use honey within the tea.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a beautiful product.
Yeah,
I love it.
I remember the first time I had a taste of it, a sip of it, and right away I'm hypersensitive to these types of things. I could just feel the grounding effect that took place in me. And then it wasn't moments later you said, it has a very grounding effect. And I'm like, wow, there you go.
Yes.
So I wasn't influenced by anything you had said right then and there. And then I noticed that it has this wonderful pink color to it. So unusual. Yeah.
Yeah, that pink color comes from the sapon tree. That's a tree is founded in India and in Brazil. So in old days, that tree been used as the coloring for the clothes.
For the what?
Clothes.
Oh, okay.
They color the clothes or materials, and because it has that coloring property. But in India, they've been using this sapon tree bark of it for cleaning the water. So if you're gonna leave it overnight, it's cleansing the water. It's have that kind of effect. Plus, it's a anti-cancer properties over there too.
So when you speak of cleansing the water, obviously from parasites, chemicals that have been
Bacteria, parasites.
chemicals that have been used hundreds of miles away that have found their way into the water system, and it's cleansing that out as well.
Not sure about the chemicals. It all depends on the chemicals
Right.
they're using. Some chemicals cannot
You
be
just-
clean,
all right.
but bacteria and parasites, yes. Something
Excellent.
natural, not chemical. I don't think the chemical is going to be clean.
I can't wait till it hits the market. This is so exciting to just see a true entrepreneur bring a product to the market.
Thank you.
I just love that. I just love being part of that whole process, especially from inception, But this is only one of the one of the aspects of your life, really.
Yeah.
You're working on a coaching mentorship program as well,
Yes.
writing a book as well.
Writing the books, a few books, and coaching and mentoring. The main how everything started. I came to the mentorship and mentoring from my previous business because I was over 25 years in the contracting business, and it was kind of naturally put me in a position to coach my employees, and it's become like a more, not a habit, it's become a passion, because I've been see how their home environment and their inside environment affecting the productivity.
Because as a contractor, you were actually going into the homes,
Yes.
obviously, so you could tell a lot about the lifestyles and energy flow within the home.
Yeah.
That's what you're speaking to, right? So that you can actually create the coaching mentorship program based upon your experiences.
Yes, and that's one of the side of it that I can relate it to the clients by understanding their energy and environment that they're living. But I was coaching my employees how to not just to be more productive. It's more having happy life, because the mindset and the way they're thinking, it's very affecting not only how happy they are at work, because most of the time people are spending at work 8 hours, 10 hours at work, and a
True.
little bit at home. So it's if they miserable at work, they're going to be miserable at home because they're bringing all of this back home. So how to make them enjoy what they're doing. And it's all about the mindset. It's all about perception, how you see on things. And that's one of the things that is not only coaching and mentoring. I'm here to change the perception of people. How they perceive the things, how they perceive the life, how they perceive themselves. And that's what's important.
So obviously languaging is very important, how they speak to themselves and the
Yes.
languaging that they use with their family, with themselves, with their coworkers. So the shifting that takes place with the languaging shifts their perception. I love this. I've been studying a little bit with Jefferson Fisher, who wrote The Last Conversation. And I just love this type of work that you're moving into.
Yeah.
But it really was brought about from, right from the beginning, basically diving a little bit deeper into your story. You've learned how to communicate with a wide range of different types of people, from your childhood in Russia and
Yes.
moving into the military there, to raising children, to running a successful business that you've sold, and bringing your family from Russia, and the whole story. You've really manifested, you've really developed these skills of working with people that you're
Yes.
applying to this coaching, mentoring program.
Yeah, it started long time when I grew up in a big family.
In Russia.
In Russia, yes, in southeast Russia. I grew up on the border with the Kazakhstan. So, and was very diversity of diverse community. But my family I grew up around like uncles and aunts and lots of cousins. So I didn't have many friends. I have lots of cousins. That's what basically.
Your friends were your cousins.
That's it. It's I grew up in that kind of environment, and communicating with at school and with my big family, it's created my perception of life. Until I believe I was 11 and a half, around 12 years old. My family, my mom, dad, they moved to northwest Russia in St. Petersburg. It's a second largest city over there. And that's when everything's changed. It's like taking the person from the jungle and put them into center of Manhattan.
Right.
And your world has changed completely. I start new school. I don't have a friends. I don't have a family around. And of course, it's going to affect me in a way. I start getting depressed. And my dad saw me that I've been bullied,
Bullied.
at school.
Bullied,
And
yes.
and he admitted me and he signed me up for martial art classes. And that's when my martial art kind of started. The journey with martial arts started. I started learning about the discipline, about the philosophy of judo and sambo.
It was judo.
Judo and sambo. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I started learning about that environment and philosophy, discipline, and understanding that I'm pretty much become a weapon. And at that
A weapon.
weapon, yeah. At those days in Soviet Union, if you are deep into martial art, every person will sign up in the police department. They have a
A category.
you have to be like registered.
I see you. If you study of martial arts,
Yes.
then you have to register with the police department.
Yes, because you pretty much they consider you as a weapon. Not anymore, of course. It's like now it's a different society, different rules. But at those days in the 80s, that's how it was, and it probably was a decision point for government to put me in a military force where they assigned me to be.
Right.
Because it wasn't being my choice. When I was 18 years old, I was being drafted into the military, and they decided to send me to special forces, and we've been under KGB supervision. So it was basically KGB special forces.
All right.
And I think they just took to consideration that I already have 8 years of martial art, and I've been kind of prepared for it. So plus I was clean records, no drugs, no alcohol. I like good citizen consider, and that's what they assigned me. And it was pretty tough in the beginning, but then I see why the way I'm been able to handle all my immigration years and business, it's all been based on being trained in the special forces, overcome, being
Interesting.
having emotional resilience, physical resilience, mental resilience. And that's what they've been training us for.
Would you label that as emotional maturity?
Emotional maturity, yes, but it's more like a resilience because you overcome certain things in your life that if you do this over and over and over, you become resilient.
Resilience in the way that it just bounces off of you. So when I think of resilience, I think of something that comes to you and it just bounces right off of you. It just doesn't even come into your psyche at all.
It's not so much like bouncing off, it's going through you. And you've been able to process that information, process the feelings, process that emotions, not just bouncing off, but observing and let it go.
So when you process those emotions and that experience and you let it go, it seems to me there's a bank that it goes into, like a battery bank. It's in the body in some way and it's being expressed in some way, or is it just completely cleared away?
No.
So
that actually stays in your body. Like I
Right.
believe it's, who wrote that book? I don't remember it's in my mind about trauma give a score or something like that.
Joseph Campbell?
No, I don't. No, not Joseph Campbell. But it's, yes, you're right. I mean, when you can process certain information, but certain information, especially when you go through traumatic experience in military, it stays with you. Not everything's processed. When I was leaving military, it took me, and when I left the military, it was another traumatic experience when my father was dying from cancer. Then one of my closest friends back in Russia, because there's so much criminal activity was at that time in the 90s, and he was murdered and killed. And that was another process. But all of this would be probably processed differently if I wouldn't be serving in that military forces.
So it wasn't such a shock to you.
Yeah.
You had already previously experienced.
Yeah. And it's all been like not piling up, but you have to be trained to respond to certain situations. For example, I will never gonna forget my first mission. And when been on the mission, one of our officers, which is
as a KGB
as
agent.
a KGB, and our officer in the first hour, he had an injury. So he hurt himself, his leg was hurt, and he couldn't move anymore. And we've been on the foot. We have a certain direction to go to check the checkpoints, and we have to go, I believe it was like 60 miles in that day, in 24 hours, we have to go through. And it was raining, it was miserable, and our mission was not get into contact with the checkpoints. Make sure we just go, record it, taking pictures, and we just keep going. We're not supposed to be get engaged into any conflict. So he was damaged. I was next in the rank, so they put me as the lead of the group. So when we going in leading the group, and one of our guys, unfortunately, they saw us and they start shooting, and one of our guys been shot. And I will never forget that moment. It's the first time when I see someone is right next to me and it was being shot. So first reaction, you jumping, you stop the bleeding. So that kind of reaction, respond, it's automatically because we've been trained to do this stuff. And we're not medically been trained, but we know how to stop the bleeding, what to do the first aid, and how respond to it. So that moment, it stays with me for rest of them, I kind of like a blocking and let it go. But certain things, it stays in your memory over the years.
Do you believe that trauma, that experience was reflected later on in your life, which attributed to some stories that we'll get to in a bit, and then eventually leading you into the plant medicine and everything that you're doing now? Cumulatively, everything's come together so that you can finally find resolution?
Yeah. It's like... if we're gonna get like a bowl of something, and we're gonna start running the water, and that water is gonna run through, it's still gonna be some sediments. Even if I've been able to release most of it, it's still some sediments was holding in my soul, in my mind, in my memories, and that was kind of adding up, all these little pieces.
And they were self-destructive, so it wasn't as if you were building a good character, right?
Yeah, it's eating you a little bit from inside. Yeah, you at some point, you need to figure out how to face it.
Tell me about your experience moving to America.
Oh.
and meeting your wife eventually.
Yes, it was adventure. All my life adventure.
Look at you smile.
Now I'm smiling, and then I was smiling. I didn't know what I'm gonna be facing, because everything was I know about the United States from just the movies. That's it. I was watching movies and like, oh, okay.
That's what it's really like.
Well, I flew from St. Petersburg to Paris, and I was in Paris. And then after leaving the Paris, I flew to New York. And when I landed in Airport Kennedy in New York, one of the France peer, he actually came from Albany to pick me up. I never met him before, so I guess I remember he had a sign or something, and with my name, and I approached him. He picked me up, and we were driving to Albany through all those bridges in New York City, and I was just looking around. And I'm like, oh my God, those cars! If you remember in the 90s, it was 1994 and 90s, so like
Sure.
huge Buicks and Oldsmobiles and big cars. I'm like, wow, it looks different.
Yeah, the
And
Chevy Impalas.
one
everything.
thing it's in the movies, another thing is just you
There
facing
they
all
are.
of this. Here you are. And but it's in the beginning it was pretty tough. I didn't speak English, period.
So when you originally flew from St. Petersburg to Paris, did you know anybody in Paris?
No,
Did you stay in Paris?
a few days.
A few days. Okay, so, and then you went to New York, and you didn't know anybody in New York.
In New York City, no.
Yeah,
I have only one person I knew.
that gentleman that picked you up.
No, not him, but my friend sent him.
Oh, I
My friend
see.
couldn't
Oh.
make it, so he sent him to pick me up.
Oh, I remember you telling me this story. So how did you know that friend? That friend was somebody
Yes.
from Russia
From Russia.
that you worked with, or was a
Yeah.
family?
Not a family, but he was a friend of mine.
Okay.
And he's seeing me struggling
I
to just
remember.
find
Right.
myself
Mhm.
because whatever I learned in college, it was being obsolete at those
It wasn't
days.
applicable,
Applicable at that time
right?
because all the universities been closed down because of the lack of budget in government, and pretty much all the people who used to have a government work and feel like they've been needed, they in the free market society, you just figure it out. It's been a really fast switch from socialism to capitalism, and people couldn't adopt it right away.
Right.
So for me, being able to adapt it to it, it's adaptability, how you be able to adapt it to different environment. And I went to the business school. I finished the business school
In Russia.
In Russia, and the business school. Then I went to work for the stock exchange. Boring, and I didn't like it. So I started working for small businesses and helping small businesses with the marketing, with the sales. So I've been involved in sales and marketing from my 20s. And a friend of mine, he saw that I'm working for small businesses. He said like, hey, would you like to work for me? And at that time, he lived in the United States, and he had his own chain of stores in St. Petersburg. He said, if you just overlook, when I'm not in Russia, if you can overlook all my businesses and help me just to make sure everybody's paid and money is collected and all of that. So I start working for him. And at some point, few years later, it was so uncomfortable because the whole entire business was saturated with criminal activities, been trying to be fitted from any business. And we've been approached, and we've been kind of been asked to pay them the money, and we decided not. And of course, it wasn't been safe at that time, I will say that. So he helped me just to move from Russia to United States by going to the embassy and helping me with signing some paperwork and helped me to move legally. Yeah.
What a great mentor, great friend.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So him helped me at that time. He helped me just to being assimilated here in the United States in the first years. And the first years I live in Albany, and I still was at some part-time working for him and doing some other work. And I wasn't being happy in Albany. It was the weather, and
Just wasn't working for you.
it didn't work for me. So I was still adventurous. And at some
course.
point I was been dreaming about living somewhere when it's warm weather, close to the ocean. And my first move was in Florida, and I tried to be in Florida. I went down to Florida
down south.
and down south, Tampa, but mosquitoes and heat and humidity and the environment over there, it didn't vibe with me.
Right.
I will say that.
Right.
So I went back to Albany, and another friend, which I knew from St. Petersburg, he asked me if we want to move to California. And at that time, I already knew another person in California, only one man in California that I knew, who said that, oh, okay, if you ever going to come to California, I'll help you in a couple of months. And I took advantage. So I came to California with another guy. We just jumped in a Greyhound bus.
I love that. You jumped on the Greyhound.
We drove through whole entire country.
I know the feeling. I've went across the country in a Greyhound bus as well in my 20s.
Yeah,
It's quite an adventure.
it is.
The Greyhound bus stations are wonderful.
Yeah, and once I got to California, and
Where in California?
first time we live in Tierra Santa. We just rented out a big condominium with 4 guys and all single guys. So
Crazy.
crazy.
Wild, crazy times.
Yeah. Well, I for me it was, I have 2 jobs. I was working like a day and evening.
So you've always been a hard worker.
I'm pretty much working all the time.
Yeah.
So not much time for fun.
Yeah, you didn't have a welfare mentality, that's
No.
for sure.
No.
You were out here to build an
Yeah.
empire.
Yeah. Working hard,
for you.
and then at some point I was start working for a service company in San Diego.
Service company servicing
Servicing heating, air conditioning, ventilation, so HVAC company.
units, right?
Yes, and so the owner of that company live in kind of like in the neighborhood was all the immigrants from Russia, from Ukraine, lived together. So one of his neighbors was from Ukraine, and since I was in his house all the time in his apartment, and she was coming to sit with his wife, and we have start conversation and talks. And she said, "Oh, you know what, Alex? I have a girl coming here to visit me from Pennsylvania, and she's about your age. I would like to just introduce you to her." I'm like, "Okay, yeah." That's how I met my wife. Yeah.
There you go. Simple as
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was exactly 27 years ago in May.
In May.
Yeah, in May, and it was 1998, and she came to visit, and I met her once, and we started dating every day because she was here only for a couple of weeks, and on the 5th day, I proposed her.
Smart man. There you go. What was your first date like?
First date? Oh yeah, first
Did
date.
you go for a walk?
Oh
or-
no, I took her to we drove to La Jolla, the place where is a memorial place with a cross. What is it called?
Mount Soledad.
Yes, here you go. Thank you.
How did you get a car? She had a car?
Oh no, I have a.
You had a car by then?
Yeah.
Oh, you were rocking.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
were
one
ready.
of the things I figured out from the beginning.
You need a car.
You need a car here.
It's car country here.
Yeah.
They've designed it like that. They could have had railroad stations all over the place, you know.
Yeah.
It could have been
Yeah.
a completely different
Mr.
country.
Ford said no train stations. It's going to be
Yeah.
cars.
And there were electric train stations in San Francisco that they took out right away.
Yeah.
Oh, they did it on purpose. They made this country, you know, to be a car country.
Yes.
Oil, gas, manufacturing. There you go.
If you want to work, you need to have a car.
That's right.
Yeah.
Survive. So you married your wife, and she obviously accepted, and then you moved forward in moving in together.
Yeah, I proposed her after 5th day. 5 days we've been dating. I proposed her. Every time I'm telling this story, especially to young people, everybody's like, start looking around. I said like, no. Don't apply this for yourself. It's my story, not your story.
Yeah.
If you want to make your own story, come up with something else, but don't try it at home. So yeah, and so in May she went back home in Pennsylvania, and a couple of months later, just me and my brother-in-law, we flew to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We packed all her family and moved them over here. And
The whole family?
Whole family.
Oh, excellent. So you moved to Terrasana.
To Poway, because at that
To
time,
Poway.
At that time, my sister moved to United States. At that time in the 90s, United government made some kind of deals and was playing like a lottery with the green cards, and some people who applied, they can get the green cards. So, well, my sister was lucky one. She got the green card at that time, and she, with her family, she older than me, with her family, she moved to United States, and I helped them to settle down over here.
Right. And so fast forward 20-something years, here we are, in the middle of a lot of people dying in Ukraine. And this must have some effect on her being from Ukraine and you being Russian. I know we've spoken about this several times, and I just love your global outlook of it all. That the world is almost too small to be a nationalist in many ways. And you both have a very global perspective. And tell me a little bit about that. How is that affecting both of you?
When I was in military, half of my unit was Ukrainian. We have people from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Lithuania. Half of our guys was Ukrainian and Russians, and we all been together.
Right.
For me, it's a brothers.
Right.
And at that time, I couldn't even imagine that what's going on right now, it could happen. If someone's going to tell me, I'll say like, "You insane."
That's just not.
It's just impossible. It's impossible. But since 1991, it was a big different. So, and I'm not going into the politics. I'm just saying that any war, it doesn't matter what it is, between Russia, Ukraine, between Palestine and Israel, between United States and other countries, and the life is a life. And when I start working with when I start working in the coaching and mentoring, and when I was accepting that this is my home, I will say that San Diego is my home. When I feel like it doesn't matter, life is a life. It's a secret.
That's very mature. I love that attitude. I feel the same way in so many ways.
For me, losing the kids in Iraq or Afghanistan or in Palestine, on Ukraine or in Russia, it's a life.
Right.
That we need to be really serious about it. And if
Wherever
we can
it
be
is.
able to stop any wars, that's what it's for.
Right.
Because we have a group that we meditate at certain time, like 8 o'clock in the evening. We have a group, we meditate about to stop the violence, stop the wars, and just putting our energy over there just to stop the violence, period.
Yeah, we do the same things through my Buddhist community. Yeah, it's powerful. So powerful. You've been able to help family that was in Ukraine, help them come over here.
Yeah. Our very close friend, when war in Ukraine started, his mom and his sister-in-law, they've been escaping Kiev, and they went to Poland. And from Poland, they have ability to come over here to United States. So they traveled through the whole entire world just to get to United States. And our friend couldn't go and pick them up from Tijuana. So me and my wife, we drove to Tijuana to pick them up and get through the border, spend the whole day on the border, so make sure all their documents going to be filled out properly, make sure they're going to be checked, go through all the legal procedures. Once we picked them up and brought them here to United States, and over the time we become friends.
Sure.
And become friends. And
Absolutely.
so his sister-in-law, she's amazing. She's such an optimistic person. She's such a beautiful, amazing person. And it's interesting that when she met with us, she kind of tell the story to my wife that her and her husband, they've been trying to have a child for about 9 years, and they couldn't. And doctors checked them, and actually, doctors couldn't find anything wrong, neither with him or with her. So something was preventing them to have a children.
Something possibly psychological.
Psychological. So she was
Psychosomatic.
psychosomatic. So she was she took I believe a 2 or 3 ceremonies with us in our retreats. And after the third one, I believe, she came to my wife. She was crying. And she said, you know what? When I was sitting outside over there by myself and meditate, she said, I saw my daughter. She said, I see and I know exactly why I cannot conceive the child. Now I can. She said, I need to go back to Ukraine. And when she broke that news, everybody's here say what are you doing? Why are you going back? You're crazy. You're going back to the war? He said, yes, I'm going to go there because my husband's right there, and I know that I'm going to have a child. So she went back over there. 2 months later, she got pregnant. So that child right now, it's a miracle child because I know the history of that child. And every time we on a Zoom with them, or when we talk on the video, and I'm just looking at that child and I'm saying wow, I know the history even before you conceived.
Amazing. And so she, just so that I can get the story clear, she came to that realization while she was working with the plant medicine?
Yes.
So it was through the plant medicine that she had this, could I call it an awakening?
Awakening.
Or a realization?
Yeah, I will call this alignment.
Alignment.
It's something wasn't being aligned in her soul, in the spirit, in with her body. That when she aligned everything, she let go certain things in her life. She created the flow.
Right, she moved into the flow.
And that flow, it was being manifested into the child.
The flow was manifested into the child. Wow. There was a time in your life where you had some pivotal points, some pivotal experiences that shifted everything for you, that really moved you into the plant medicine and pursuing this as not just for healing yourself, but assisting other people in the healing process.
Yes.
With the plant medicine. Talk to us a little bit about that. What happened to you?
It's a good question. I think it's a turning point in my life. And it started with 3 car accidents.
3
car accidents. One of them wasn't been measured, but the 2 first ones was pretty bad. And now I understand why it happened. At that time, I was thinking, what's going on?
You mean the allegory, the deeper story as to why it happened?
Why is it
Not just
happening?
because somebody ran a stoplight or something like
Yeah.
that, but what's the deeper?
It was
story?
always somebody's fault, because I'm sitting on the intersection in front of the red light, and people are just rear-ending at me with not even stopping. So it doesn't matter what the reason, they've been distracted by the phone or something else, but they couldn't even slam the brake. I mean, they're just going right through my car. And
Just barreled right into your car.
yeah, and I was like, why is it happening? Am I invisible? If I'm invisible, why are they not stopping at the red light? But it's affected my lower back. It's pretty bad. My neck is fine, but lower back was really bad. I have a migraines, and my lower back was completely messed up. And that's when I was asking like medical professionals, like, how can you help me? Because the pain was so unbearable, I barely can get off the bed. And when I get off the bed, I was been using my cane just to walk around. And at that point, 15 years ago, I still running the business. And
You were still running your business?
Yeah, it was we started 1999. 15 years ago, it was like, 2010.
So your children were still quite young as well?
Children is young. I'm running the business, and I could not get up the bed. So my first fear, which is like a serious fear, am I going to become disabled?
Am I
going to be able to provide for the family?
Right.
All this expenses, I mean, in the life, you understand. I mean, you have a family, you have a life, you have to pay the bills here. And it's turned into the depression. And the doctors, all they can do, just give you like a pain medication just to numb you out.
This was your first experience with the Western doctors?
Yeah, seriously, like a first time experience with Western medicine. And the way it's been treated. And I found that everything goes down to just treat the symptoms, not the issue, not the problem. But the problem was even the physical. Problem was much deeper with me. And I didn't understand at the first time. First, when I start taking medication, I feel like, yes, and I never took the drugs as far as like the pain medication. I never been taking, and I didn't know the experience. What is it? How you gonna feel? And when I start taking it, I start feeling like, okay, it's numbing me out, and it's fogged my brain because I couldn't think clearly. And I start expressing my concerns to the doctor. I said, listen, I have a family, I have a business to run, my mind needs to be clear. I cannot have that kind of fog in my mind, in my brain. And he said, well, your next step is going to be just to do back surgery. And they did the back surgery and didn't help again. And I still having the pain, and I still continue with medication. At that point, I said, like, well, enough is enough. I need to start researching on my own. How can I help myself to reduce the pain in the lower back? And that's was main point. And at that point, I'm start researching everything, how change my mindset, how my view on the pain is going to be affected, how I'm going to be, how the nerve system works in my body, how is it my back is connected to my brain. That's
took a deep dive.
A deep dive, and I'm start like taking all this information and consuming that information and trying different things and changing my way of thinking. And that's how it started. And with the help of Joe Dispenza, he's a attribute a
Oh,
lot.
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
Okay, so you tapped into his work.
Oh yes, and he's I will say he's probably was my first teacher. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Him and Bruce
Right.
Lipton. Those two men. Give him
Bruce
a big,
Lipton.
Bruce Lipton, yeah, Dr. Bruce Lipton,
Mhm.
yeah. So I give him a big kudos because in my life it was a big turning point when his teaching helped me to brainwash myself, to change my perception about the pain, period, that it's possible to get rid of the pain through certain things. That's when I was being introduced to meditation.
Oh, excellent. And so do you think the way that you were raised in Russia, was it in a natural environment? Were these elements, obviously you didn't have Western medicine there.
Yes.
You had alternative medicine sources there as well.
Yeah, it's
Did
like
you pull some of this
from
what tipped you over to Dr. Dispenza and
Yeah.
all this deeper inner work
Yeah,
and meditation kind of came from your childhood in some way?
in some way, yes, because my grandmother, she was a medicine woman, so she
Ah.
was in a way helping people.
Right, right.
And me as a child, I didn't understand what she's doing. I was just following her. Wherever she goes, she take me with her and helping some people. And I was just watching and saying like, okay, she's doing something and people asking her to do. But I was like 5, 6 years old. For me, it was really comprehends exactly what she's doing. That being said, it's probably somewhere been sitting in my memory.
Right, exactly. And so that helped you realize that the Western medicine isn't the only way to go. So you had other resources deeply seated in the DNA, so to speak, there that came forward.
Yeah.
And did you start to realize that the obviously the pain that was in your back was coming from trauma that you experienced in the military and being bullied and all of that? Did you start feeling like that's had a lot to do with the pain and in
Yeah.
that particular area of the body? It was all conclusive?
Yeah, I think it's all collectively was there because back to that book, Trauma Get the Score, right? I believe that's the name of the book.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, we'll look it up. But the trauma, it's still going to be sit somewhere in your body.
Exactly.
And but what happened with me with all this accidents, it was like a course correction. So
And alignment.
My navigation wasn't been going right direction. And doesn't matter if you believe or not, or people believe in God or energy or source or Buddha or Jesus, doesn't matter. It's some kind of intelligence above us.
Greater intelligence.
Greater intelligence.
Right.
That it's supervising and aligning
Supreme
everything.
intelligence.
Supreme being. Something is supervising and aligning our lives. And it was watching me that I'm not going the right direction, that needs to be course correction. So those 3 accidents, car accidents, it was my course correction to put me in the right way. And that time I thought that it's okay, this is a tragedy. It was a blessing.
Retrospect.
It was a blessing for me for getting into the right direction. And yes, that pain in the back, I felt it it's manifested from the way of me thinking. So sometimes we think and we almost like magnetize certain things in our lives. For me, at that point, I magnetized. I was thinking like, oh, I'm running the business. I'm running the family. Everything
Exactly.
on my shoulders.
Right.
It's pushing me. It's
Which is says everything about the lower back, from what I understand.
Here you go. It's pushing all the concentrations goes to your lower back. And when I start realizing this through the meditation, and after meditation, I start thinking and learning about the proper breathing and certain breathing techniques to remove the pain from your body, to align your thoughts in a different way.
Associating your breathing patterns with your thought patterns and using the breath to move you and keep you in the parasympathetic, a healing modality instead of the fight or the flight, for instance, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
And creating new patterns. So changing my thoughts. My thoughts start bringing new feelings.
Inner dialogue.
In the dialogue. Those feelings, instead of negative thoughts, it was a more positive thoughts. That's something we can control. We can actually work on it. Those positive thoughts bring the positive feelings. Positive feelings and it's going to be supporting another positive thought. And we just changing the loop. Instead of getting into the negative loop, we're creating the positive loop. That positive loop creating the positive perception. The perception of life creating new patterns. New patterns is changing everything and creating destiny. So basically by changing your thoughts, creating new feelings, creating new perception on life, you creating the different outcome, you changing your destiny. And that's what I learned in the beginning when I start meditate and using the breath techniques. And later on, when I was just being introduced to the plant medicine, it's completely changed my perception on everything, including who we are, who I am, why we're here.
The big questions.
The big questions, essential questions that everyone's at some point is probably going to ask. Why am I doing here? What am I doing here?
Not quite everyone, but I know what you...
I think like everyone, but yes,
It's not
I
really.
learned that not everyone.
No.
I can say just even not everyone have internal dialogue. I thought that everyone have internal dialogue, not everyone.
That's right. What a realization.
Yes.
So do you feel that you were healed from your lower back issues before you moved into the plant medicine, or did the plant medicine just fully heal you? And what's the story behind moving into the plant medicine? How did that come about? You spend time in a foreign country.
Yeah. Well, my wife been side by side with me.
Of course.
She's always been looking for, honestly, she's an initiator, okay? She's an initiator of everything. She's finding information. She's giving me that information. I'm start searching and getting deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole.
I was going to say, how can you juggle all these balls?
Yeah.
No,
Hopefully, maybe one day you're going to, she's sitting with you and because she's quite a talker.
I think we should do another podcast with her here.
Yeah, she's fun.
Bring in the whole family.
She's much funnier than me, and and she's.
I couldn't imagine a bigger smile than yours.
Oh no, she's much better looking than me and funny, and she has a better intuition. I will fully can say that she's a better half.
Mm-hmm.
She's an amazing person that I just blessed to have her in my life.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and
we have to get her on the podcast. I think it would be so much fun.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. She used to be really afraid to public speaking.
Okay.
And I
yes.
see that being with working with the plant medicine, she's stepping into her power, and she's more and more exposed to speaking to the people in smaller groups. And now because we're getting bigger groups, so she's speaking more to the larger groups.
400 or 500 people at a time.
Not so many. Not so
I
many.
was joking. Joking.
No, not so many. But
She would have gotten my humor right away.
yes, totally. But Yeah, so she was an initiator of looking into the plant medicine because we didn't know what it is.
She did. All
She
right.
did, yeah. And me and her, we actually went to do our first plant medicine together. And at that point, because we've been going through at that time, we have a really hard time with our son. Our son is a severe autistic, and at that time, he'd been going through the really challenging time of puberty, and everything started changing in his life and our life, and it was tough. It
I
was
couldn't
tough.
imagine how tough that
And,
must have been.
Yeah, and we're looking for the way how we can we live with it. It's pretty tough. So with the plant medicine, it's actually help us to understand him better, because he's autistic. He's not pretty much not verbal.
He's not verbal.
He's not verbal.
Okay.
So he can say a few words, but not complete sentence. And you have to just pick up by his gestures, or you asking him questions. You have to become really intuitive, exactly what he needs. And for him, it's really hard to express himself, so he's getting through that of frustration. And for us, working with the plant medicine, it's help us to be more intuitive with him, and now with more people, with other people that we're working with. It helped me with my coaching and mentoring.
I was going to say your ability, your communication skills.
To understand people and connecting them on the heart level, not just on the mind. Because for me it was, okay, I'm just very analytical person, analyzing everything.
Very pragmatic.
Yeah, and it was really hard for me to open my heart. And a certain plant medicine, and we call this heart opener, which is the cactus vachuma. It's actually been really well working on the heart, opening the heart, making the heart connection with the people, with the nature, with yourself. It's nothing like some medicines, plant medicines like ayahuasca or yahe or 5-MeO, are very intrusive, very impacted. But vachuma, it's very mellow, very calm, but it's bring you to it's activating, elevating your heart energy. And to have the heart being open and activated, because the heart is right here, and this is our chakra, which is, if it's closed, it's disconnecting your upper chakras and lower chakras. And you operating only here or there. And many people are fortunately operating on the lower chakras. To get your energy up, you have to open your heart. You have to activate that. It's like a bridge between your lower and upper chakras. And if we can creating that flow, so the people is going to start living differently. They're going to not only connect it to themselves, they connect it easier with other people. And connecting with the nature, with the animals. It's going to be less, it's going to be harm to other animals or nature or children or other people.
Yeah. It's hard enough to make the leap from the Manipura to the Anahata, and then let alone from the Anahata to the Vishuddha, the throat chakra. Those are huge leaps.
Yeah.
So if they're not healed and pure and clean, then you're just not going to be able to move through them.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How did you have 2 daughters, correct?
Yes.
So,
We have 2 girls and 1 son.
and 1 son, and so this must be such an interesting family dynamics with all this happening at home. Autistic
Yeah.
brother, 2 sisters, their mother, your wife, your injuries, building a business. Powerful story going on right there. How are they, the daughters, the sisters, how do they express their feelings of what's going on in the house with the plant medicine and the autistic son and the energy and your injury and moving into now this plant medicine coaching, quote unquote, career? How do they feel about all of that? I know it's probably more than you could just say in a short sentence or two.
Yeah, it's
its
really
own chapter.
Yeah, it's really
huge.
different dynamic was because our oldest daughter, she's more at this point, she's more believing into the science and into traditional medicine.
Is she? All right.
That being said,
Fascinating.
it's possible that she's gonna be changing her mind because she has her own children right now, and she sees about the results of the traditional medicine. How's it treating symptoms, not the issues or cause of the problems, core of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the youngest one, was going through some really hard time when she was a teenager. And this is something that I contribute to it a lot. Spending too much time in the business, being absent in the family. Yeah. So she was going through a lot, but going through the period of some time when she was being introduced to the plant medicine, it's completely changed her life.
Was she introduced to the plant medicine on her own, or
we introduced her?
you
We
introduced her?
just for us it was pretty simple. It's either she's going through traditional medication, which is going to be just Prozac, numbing,
right,
numbing your feelings,
right,
and just trying to bring you to place where you just doesn't feel. And that's what happened with people with all that antidepressants. I mean, they just blocking your feelings. You doesn't feel. It's not fixing anything. It's just blocking. So instead of that, we decided to introduce her to, and from the kid, which is, she was very common, was wearing the hoodies and not very talkative, avoiding people. Every time people comes to her house, she's just locking herself in the room. And from that person, after a year or two, she was, you can say her posture is changed. From being like this, her shoulders open up. Her face start lifting up.
She wasn't hiding her heart.
Exactly. She started opening, she started speaking to other people. And oh my God, the wisdom she speaks. Sometimes we're having conversation with her, and very often I'm asking her advice. Because she studied psychology. And,
She has insight.
She studied psychology in college, in sociology and psychology. So very, very often I'm asking her even advice or questions, and we have a really incredible conversations with her. And
powerful. Alex, I just like, so moving.
Yeah. So I see how plant medicine is working. I see how is it working in my family. So looking at myself, my wife, my children, then my friends, I was thinking, okay, that's a powerful medicine. Now people going and take this medicine in South America or even here in the United States, and I bring them back and help them to integrate their experiences. And it's very important to integration. It's more than the medicine. Medicine is just opening the gate. What happened after or even before you start taking medicine or after you taking medicine, that's what the most important part. How you integrate this into your life, how you integrate this into these feelings, new experience. And I understand not in every state it's legal, but what I do, I just integrating people.
Mm-hmm. What a service.
So if people need to know more about it, welcome to ask me, and you can reach out and we can talk, because it needs to be properly prepared, because some people I would not recommend to do plant medicine. And some people not ready, and some people needs to be prepared. And after they're gonna take the medicine, that's time for integration. Usually the people who serve the medicine, they do not do integration. They just train to serve, and that's it. And then we need to step in and help them to integrate into their lives.
How long do you think before you're going to have your coaching mentorship program in place? How much more time do you think you're going to need before you launch it?
I think by the end of this year, it's going to be launched. I'm already do private sessions.
Sure.
And I do private consultations, and it's not like a mainstream. It's just everything's little by little.
Yeah.
Doing like baby steps and helping people. And I see how is it important for people to have a proper guidance before and after. And some people I'm saying like it's not for you.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing all of that. A lot to process. You've brought a book with you.
Oh, yes.
Somebody you'd like to talk to us about. You've brought 2 books.
I brought 2 books. That's my evening books I'm reading. Well, this person is Dr. Ashley Tomasino. So one of her first books I was reading, it's called The Path Between Zen and Now. So The Path Between Zen and Now.
It's a must read.
Yes, and I found this book and I was reading this book and I'm like, start interested about who's the author and who is she, because it's lots in the first pages. It's all about, it's like her biography.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, who is she? Because she's such an amazing and interesting person, okay? And I'm like, let me find out who is she. And I start looking, and guess what? She lives in Escondida. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we are neighbors.
So you reached out to her.
I found her on the Facebook and started sending her a couple of messages about in the messenger about her book, and we've been talking online for about a year. And after a year, we met, and that's when our kind of friendship and collaboration started. Because she's actually she's a doctor, but she know how to serve and work with medicine too.
And she's coming on the podcast, we hope.
I hope so. Yes, because she's amazing. It's not only one book; she has a few books.
Oh, I see. Okay.
She wrote several books, and she's amazing. She's become my teacher too.
Oh, beautiful.
Because I'm learning from her a lot.
So you're teaching each other.
We're teaching each other.
Right.
Yes.
Isn't that the way it should work?
Yeah, I think so.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing person. That's another book. It was being written by Ross Haven, and Ross Haven, and he's a psychologist who's was traveling in South America, and he was traveling. He's from United Kingdom, so he was traveling in South America and learning about the shamanism and about San Pedro. So one of the first psychologists who, and not many of them, so wrote the book. It's such a good book, and not only like it's scientific, and it's more like a scientific and mystical experience about working with San Pedro. We call it Vachuma, Hachuma. In the Western, we know it as a cactus. It's San Pedro.
I see. Excellent. Thank you for bringing those.
You're welcome.
Sharing them with everybody.
So this one of the amazing books.
We did it, Alex. We did it. Thank you so much for bringing all of this to my life and to everybody that's listening.
My pleasure. Yeah. I think the more we're going to speak and be open to speak our truth, it's probably going to be, not probably, it will change the
It will.
world.
We're just warming up.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dennis.
Thank you, Alex.